Do I actually need a credit card, or could I just survive off a debit card? The key is to treat the CC like cash and set it to be automatically paid in full every month. Lot of perks to using a CC: security against fraud, accepted while traveling, travel and cash rewards, a way to build your credit. Just cause you have a $29,000 limit doesn't mean you rack that up. TLDR. They aren't necessary, but can be a very good thing if you're responsible. You're fine without one in theory, but it can help a lot to build your credit rating. I had to get my mom to co-sign on my first car because I didn't have any credit. Now I only use my credit card for purchases, bills, pay it off immediately, and have a higher credit score than most people I know. Edit. For what it's worth, I'm Canadian. Our credit systems are similar though. Great job on realizing you have to pay it off each month. Lots of people don't realize it how much the interest stacks up. The main benefit of a credit card is that you build credit later when you want to buy a car or house, which usually requires a loan. But this is good debt. The lender will pull up your credit report and see, oh, they've borrowed and paid back $X over the last Y years on the credit card. I can trust them more to pay back this car loan. Debit cards are dangerous. If your data gets compromised, they can clean you out. Credit cards offer a lot more protection in that regards. There are no-fee credit cards that can give you 1% back in cash or points on all purchases. So interesting to see so many people here talk smack about debit cards while another portion of the world strictly use debit cards. I live in the Netherlands and credit cards are not used a lot. If I want a credit card, I need to tell my bank what my income is, and if I don't use it for a time, it just auto-cancels. That's why I got myself a German debit credit card so I can buy stuff where debit cards are not supported. All in all, the security issues some people mentioned, I genuinely have never encountered because we also strictly use IBAN, not the whole CVC big 16 number thing to make purchases. There is no downside to getting a credit card, unless you're irresponsible with money. If you have a credit card and use it a little bit, you will build a good credit score, which will make it easier to get loans, mortgages at lower interest rates. Plus, it's better to have a line of credit in an emergency than not have one. I can't speak for American, but here in Europe they are not popular at all. I have never had the need for one. You don't need one, but it can be helpful for your credit score. What I would recommend is getting a credit card and putting one bill on it. Like pay for Netflix on it. Something that is the same amount each month. Set up a standing order from your debit account to the credit card each month for the exact amount of the bill to ensure it is always paid each month and you don't need to remember it. And then when you get an email saying the price is changing, you change your standing order to the new amount. Then put your credit card away somewhere safe and don't use it. It's also useful for emergencies. Like if you lose your debit card, you can dig your credit card out and pay for your essentials still on your credit card until you get a new debit card. You don't need one. It's just harder without one to build up your credit score. What's more important than a credit card though is keeping an active debit card with the same bank, instead of getting a new one down the road. There are a few things that a credit card does that a debit card can't. Other than building credit, renting a car. A great many car rental businesses will not rent you a car on a debit card, no matter how much you are willing to pay. Checking into a hotel, you can do it, but they will put a $500 hold on the card before they give you your room key. This is not to cover the cost of the room. It is in addition to the cost of the room, and the hold only goes away after you check out. No credit here. Never had any. Yes, I own a car and a house. You don't need credit for that. There is manual underwriting and paying cash. If you live on less than you make, you will never need a loan or credit card. And don't let that 1% back or miles trick you into getting one. You will make nothing off those. I think people have covered how credit cards are good to have to build credit. So I'll add another reason to have one. If you ever stay in a hotel, they'll place a hold on your card for more than the amount of the room, in case of damages or other charges. On a debit card, that means you won't have access to all of your money, and could even lead to overdraft fees. If you can, always use a credit card at hotels. There are other things that place holds too, like some gas stations, but most are in the few dollars range and probably not a big deal. With hotels, it can be hundreds of dollars. Credit cards are also more secure and more likely to refund any fraudulent transactions. So it's a good idea to use them when traveling in general. Just make sure not to use it as an excuse to overspend, and to pay it off afterwards. Get a small CC 500 limit. Use it for bills or emergency hotels. Build a credit score safely and do not lend it or increase limit. Also shop for a good money back and low interest. I mean, you don't need them, but we learned on vacation we needed one to rent a car. They wouldn't allow us to use a debit card. Our bank also made us have one to buy a house. We don't use it often and keep the balance low enough that we can pay it off in its entirety too. Avoid interest. I think you can get through life without one, but some instances can be challenging. Honestly, it makes me mad you can't be without a credit card. People argue, and it's not wrong, that if used responsibly credit cards can help build credit, etc., but I hate that having debt is needed to show responsibility. To me, more emphasis should be put on paying for things in cash and avoiding debt. And I get a lot of people, us included, don't have millions to buy cars, homes, etc. in cash, but our bank making us take out a credit card and having to use it to buy a house? Annoying. We have payment records to show we pay our other bills on time. I think credit cards are traps. They make you have one hoping you'll charge, then get stuck paying interest. All the advice on building credit and so on is very country specific, by the way. It's true in the US. But there's certainly European countries where having a credit card would not help your credit score equivalent, your ability to get loans, say, at all. There are some where it would actually hurt it. But you can always close the card again. Credit cards are still useful to, for example, book hotels or rent a car, or order from a somewhat questionable website, but they don't have nearly as much use as in the US. And not getting one until you need one is fine and commonly done. In any case, as long as you don't spend money you don't have, it's fine either way. A credit card is basically a ready-to-go loan, which can be extremely handy in a pinch or a significant unexpected expense. They require discipline though, because many people see their available credit and treat it as money in the bank to use freely, failing to consider whether or not they will be able to pay off that balance before the often very high interest rate kicks in. That's when the debt starts to pile up. They can also be handy to improve your credit score. Regular responsible use of credit is a green flag to banks who may give you more favorable terms on loans in the future. All in all, they're great to have, but be careful. You might need one to rent a car. Not all car rentals will take debit cards. I, 36M, have never had one because I don't like spending money I don't have. But my position is probably unique. So, it can go either way. You could get a product like the Fizz card that builds credit without the risk of running up credit card debt. Good credit is useful in life. They aren't strictly necessary, no, but if used correctly, They're a good tool. Credit cards will help you build you credit, which is essentially a score on how likely you are to pay a debt back. If you ever want financing for a big purchase like a house, they will look at your credit score. If it's low, they won't finance it and you'll be stuck renting. You'll be limited to what's in your bank account.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.